Hey, hey, hey.
I know you're stealing my tagline, girl.
Welcome to Tonight of Misfits Managed Nation. We've been like off of our game lately.
I know we've been crazy busy, so we gotta slow down. We were in a rhythm, and I think really gaining some ground. And speaking of that, hi Shannon, we
Hi,
appreciate
Shannon.
your love and loyalty to the show. So welcome tonight, and welcome to Misfits Managed Nation. And Lauren's got something to share with you real quick.
What? Like, share, and subscribe?
Yeah.
I don't think I can ever actually say that with a straight face or correctly.
Well, maybe say it again. Let's practice.
Like, share, subscribe, share, and like. As Gary tries to be the conductor over here. That's
Right,
a
right.
new one. Okay.
Hey, I got skills. I can conduct. I can
Are they
drink my drink.
multiplying? And there goes his pinky with his cup. Oh god, here we go. Y'all, you can tell that we have not you can tell that we're a little kooky tonight, but that's all
Squirrely.
right.
No squirrely.
Hey, I've been seeing squirrels all day. You know what? It's fine. We're there.
Oh,
Well, we're excited to be here with you tonight, and we've had some crazy things going on, and it doesn't stop just because we're here, and we I can't even talk tonight. Good gosh. Um, we have such a fun, exciting guest for you, and I'm excited to hear what she's got to say, what she's got going on, because um she you just have to hear from her. She is entertaining and powerful. And let's go ahead and bring her in.
let's go. I'm excited to hear.
Absolutely. Everybody,
Well,
Misfits Managed Nation, meet Evie.
Evie, the healer of queens and kings, bowling. So, Misfits Managed, welcome, Evie. Mark.
There she
I was like, maybe we're still liking, sharing, and subscribing. I don't know.
Right, right.
I mean, it could take me all night, let's be honest.
I was like, it's fine. We're waiting for them to like, share, and subscribe. It's fine.
Yeah, we got to
While
give
you
them
were
that.
waiting for Evie, you should have gone to like, share, and subscribe.
There you go. While we were waiting, there you go. How are you guys tonight?
Attempting to take deep breaths. How about yourself?
The same. The
Yeah?
same. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially, yeah.
Do we need a collective woosah?
I think that's always good. So let's do 5, 5, and 5,
Okay,
where
here
Okay.
we
you do 5 breaths in, hold it for 5 seconds, and release it for 5 seconds. Can we do that together? That'd be totally awesome.
Okay. I don't have that big a lung capacity.
go. Woosah. That's what's up right there.
Well then, woo, stop, let it out. That is awesome.
Well, what's up, sis?
Um, so I am just so honored to come and be on you guys' platform. I've been waiting on my turn. Um, but I have been super busy, so I understand. But I was really looking forward to being able to do this and just let the Lord do whatever He's gonna do.
There you
Okay.
go.
Well, you know me. I'm gonna jump right in, and
Then hop on, come on.
we got an hour. But I just want you to know if there's some overflow, I don't want you to feel rushed. If there's an overflow and there's an abundance of juices rolling here, we can do part two next week. So that's okay.
I'm already down. I'm
Okay.
good.
So, but for me, I
Hmm.
feel like I know this, but I need a refresher. But so we introduced you, Evie Boland, but in the middle of there, we said the healer of queens, and
And
that
Kings.
now evolved to and king. So
Yes.
Misfits Managed Nation is saying, what does that mean? What's up with that? So, can you help us
Well,
understand, first of all, Evie, the healer of Queens?
absolutely. So I also speak on another platform called AYPN. Activating Your Power Now. We will be speaking. Gary and I both will be speaking this Saturday at Yellow Door in Olathe. So 10 to 2, come out and check us out. You'll see us in person. So you
Woo,
can see the
woo.
Misfits when they're out in the world.
Go
Um,
get some autographs.
Absolutely, yeah. But I speak on that platform, and actually, when I started speaking on that platform, it was just Evie Bolin at first, and then after a couple of speeches, a lot of my speeches are normally about healing women. I know that God called me to help women put their lives back together because I know what it's like to have it fall apart, and to be in that be that person in your corner. Sometimes I think for us as women, a lot of us are so in competition with each other that we forgot that we're fighting next to each other.
Yep.
And I think that if we chose, people say this race should it's the collective and this race should collective. If the sexes could get together and do what they need to do as far as a whole, if women understood that not only are we not competition, but I'm rooting for you. You know what I mean? And I'm rooting for the woman next to me. I'm rooting for the woman behind me. I want you to know as a woman in the world right now, I got you six. And I think that we've forgotten that part, well, because we started comparing body dysmorphia and all these different things in life. And we've gotten so buckled down with the hats that we wear and the ability to um, juggle those so much that we've forgotten the core of the woman and the queen that she is. I think we've gotten to a place where um, women knock each other's crowns off and then tell them there's some jewels missing. And
Yeah.
yet, if you look at
Wow.
each other, you know what I'm saying? And so I feel like if you really wanted to see me win, then help me straighten it. And then don't need to tell anybody you did. Right. Like, I don't think there's a lot of women, since I do this for a living, this is a lot of women in the line of work that I'm in, which is substance abuse and mental health. Um, I work with women and children every day. And the women that I work with are the most broken, thrown away, discarded. Um, my God, they don't even believe that they're royalty, let alone have a crown on. You see what I'm saying? And so my job is that if I'm the only smile you see today, oh my God, remember me, right? If I'm
Right.
the only woman that's called you beautiful today, remember that. I make a point. Uh, a lot of clients have repeat offenses as far as rehab. And I work in a rehab every day. And you should see the defeatedness when they're on their third and fourth and 14th and 20th time in it, right? But what I try to explain to the women that I work with is the drug is a symptom. The problem is at the root, right? So if we could just work with the root of the problem, um, we could get this symptom to not be so important.
Well,
Mhm.
speaking of that, so what? Help me understand, what does the crown then represent? You
So
said it
it's
gets knocked off your head, and then the haters, other hater women
mhm.
will say, not only is your crown knocked off, but girl, you got some jewels missing. What's
Some
up with
jewels missing, right? So I think for me, the crown is a representation of where you believe you stand in the world.
that?
It's
Oh,
not just it's not just jewels on top. It's not Queen Charlotte's crown, right? Um, Ladies, we know we watching Queen Charlotte and Bridgerton in them, but it's not those. It is
pretty dope show
actually
though.
okay. Do you hear me? Never
Hey,
miss
yeah,
an episode.
I'm
Can't
on
wait
that one. On that one.
can't wait for season 2, right? So what I noticed is for those of us that have watched Bridgerton and Queen Charlotte, it was the loneliest place is leadership, right? And the loneliest place is being the only woman doing it.
Yep.
But what if you said to the other woman, hey, I figured something out? It's not easy at all. It's going to take everything you've got. But if we band together, we can do it. My win is only a win when I have a woman with me.
Hmm.
And that's because I don't believe in just getting to the next level. My job and what God has called me to do is bust open the ceiling. But
Ooh.
then he also instructed me, to reach back, right? Because there's a sister down there that when I was at my lowest, she may not have known how to do it. And since I busted the ceiling open, now I can reach back instead of making her suffer for 20 years for the same thing I already figured out.
Yep.
You see what I'm
I,
saying?
I
So
think
I think,
one of,
hmm
I think one of the things I'm making the assumption that
hmm
I'm hearing you're saying that I'm not hearing a racial barrier. You're saying my
mm-mm.
sister, you're reaching
Yes,
back in your fellow female
Mm-hmm.
yes,
to reference as sister. And I just think there's so
yes,
power in that because in our day and age, we're so color based. And
yes,
a lot of times you want to say when you reach back, that's why I wanted to
right.
clarify for audience because
No,
they need to
yeah,
understand. I know the relationship between the two ladies right here, you and Lauren, and you and
yeah,
ladies. So I knew what you meant, but I want
yeah.
to make sure they knew what you meant.
Well, Misfits Madness, I want you to know I'm colorblind. I'm coming for you because I believe in you, not because that you look like me or don't look like me. I don't care if you're light, bright, white, dark. I'm not concerned about that. You're my sister. You understand what I'm saying? So I want my sisters to win. I don't want you just to be my sister. I want you to be my sister. You see what I'm saying? I want you to know how to be the star in your own show. And if I never show you how to shine, or if I dull myself down and I never shine, then everybody connected to my purpose fails. That's that I don't take that lightly. So if God says, I'm gonna call you, I told you what to do, I need you to do it, and then I say, yeah, but it's too hard and other women don't like me and they say I'm loud and they don't want to talk to me. Okay, well change your approach. Tell her, I remember when. I
Yep.
remember when it was too hard. I remember when I couldn't feed my kids. I remember when the one time in my life my lights went off and I was playing campfire with my kids. Not because I wasn't capable, but because I was ashamed that it even happened.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have gotten so ashamed of our normal traumatized pain that I will suffer without calling another woman and say, hey man, you remember when?
Okay.
Remember when you needed somebody?
But you are a
Yes.
root cause woman.
Yes.
I know that for a fact. So what to help me understand as a man, help me
Mhm.
understand why it's so difficult for women to band together. Why the competition? Is that a
So
woman to woman thing? Is that created by man?
I think it's created by everyone.
Okay.
If I'm honest, I could easily say and stand around and bash and say because of what men did to us and blah blah. Yeah, but as a mother who has two sons and four daughters, um, it was a root for him too. You see what I'm saying? There was something in him that was broken early as well. I think that we have as women, we have gotten to this expectation that if I could just get to the age where I can get married, then he's gonna fix me and he's
Mm,
gonna cover me and he's got me covered and well, my husband's supposed to. But my problem is that we teach women that they're supposed to be Proverbs 31 women and we forget all the ones that they weren't.
Yep.
What about, you know what I'm
wow.
saying? I
Yep.
mean, we tell you that you're supposed to duplicate and replicate something that you've never seen. I was just doing a group the other day and I was talking to the women about trauma.
Mm.
And a lot of them come from different places and they say, well, Miss Evie, why do you work in substance abuse? I said, well, I did about 5 years in substance abuse as a case manager. And then all I kept hearing was from the women and the men that I was working with, because at that time I was in a co-ed, is that everything happened when they were kids. You know, I had one client say that I didn't even know it wasn't normal to get picked up by the truancy officer. I thought that was my ride to school, not knowing that that was because my parent wasn't sending me to school, right? And so I kept hearing about things that happened. DFS stepped in. My mom was an addict, and so I'm a generational addict, or all these things that happened in their childhood. And a lot of them were subject to foster care and all these different things. And so I left substance abuse and I went and worked for DFS and Children's Division. And then I got to see that in truth, we say that we're saving these children from their parents and then re-traumatizing them with other people
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm,
then saying that it should be okay because we deemed it safer here. And that doesn't necessarily mean that I saved you. I just shifted your trauma from something that someone who said they love you gave you. and then I gave you somebody who said they got paid to give you.
Mm-hmm.
So if I never figured out how to make that connection to the trauma that you endured, sometimes I've actually heard from clients, I would have rather been getting beat by my dad than being told I wasn't nothing by the foster parent, or being treated like this and that. Now, don't get me wrong. There's amazing foster homes. Again, I did that for a few years as well. There's amazing foster homes and people that remember their why they do it.
Right.
But there's also those foster homes that remember how much you cost, right?
Yep.
And
And
you
so,
can tell that quickly.
absolutely, I can tell it was hard for me. I am known in my old office as the first one to take them back. So I was new to the case. I'm reading all this background on all these kids acting out and all these behaviors, but the behaviors didn't start till they got into the foster home. And I'm talking to the birth parents, and the birth parents are like, they've never done that. And well, he's never peed in the bed. He's never been aggressive. And I'm sitting here trying to figure it out. And I said, and my spirit just wouldn't let me sit on it. And they're like, well, Evie, it's just adjustments. It's not adjustments. Something's not right. And so I went to the judge and I said, I need to get him out. And they were like, well, where are you going to take him? I don't care. I need to get him out. And they're like, well, we've had plenty of kids go to this home, and she's been fostering for so many years. I got to get mine out. You can leave whatever ones you want in there, but mine's got to come out. So the judge gave me 30 days to find them new placement. I did. All of the behavior stopped in the new placement. Now, I didn't get you back home to your parent, right? But I did get you somewhere that you actually felt safer. And one thing I used to tell the kiddos that were on my
Matter.
caseload, Miss Evie's job is to speak up for you. So if you never tell me what you want me to say, I can't go in
You
court
can
and
do it.
tell them what you want them to hear.
Yeah, that's powerful.
So when I finally got the kiddos into another placement, it took me about 2 weeks to get to coerce them to ask, to talk to them, to get me to trust me enough, because I said I was going to make you safe. I pulled you out and got you somewhere else. And then I asked you for your voice again. And bawling, these kids told me what was happening in there. And I got the whole place shut down because I went to the judge and I said, I want all those kids out of there. And they're like, that's not your case. It doesn't have to be. I want them all out. And I will stand here until you give them to me. I want them all out and I want them on my caseload. And it actually ended up being a pretty big investigation, because a lot of things were happening to those kids in there that were worse than the houses I pulled them out of. You see what I'm saying? And so that's not fair. And so if you have a child that's the foster system expectation and experience, then you send them back eventually to a new home, or they go back home. Then they deal with whatever, because just because we told the parents to do what they're supposed to do to get their kids back doesn't necessarily mean that therapy lasted past that case being closed. You
Right,
see what I'm
right.
saying? So some of those behaviors may come back. Then I tell you to go be an adult. Then I tell you that as an adult, you're not, or as a teenager, you're not supposed to remember what happened to you back there. And then I tell you this and this and this. And then I wonder why you're 40 years old on fentanyl.
Uh-huh.
No, I don't. Because the root back there, you see what I'm saying? That root back there that nobody dealt with, that they told you was quiet, they told you to be seen and not heard. That root back there is why you're on fentanyl.
Yep.
The fact that you might be in a domestic violence situation or traffic and all those things, again, symptoms to the root.
Yep.
Wow, that's powerful. So, but I gotta ask,
Hmm.
because you are my sister, and you know I love you and I worry about
Go
you.
ahead. Yeah.
There has to be, and I know the person that you are. You give. You don't give part of you.
Mm-mm.
You are 10 toes down, all
Hmm.
in, which is wonderful, obviously for your clients, and you're their advocate. You're their voice. You're their peace and their safety. But I know that comes at a cost.
Oh, yeah.
So I know I'm just,
Yeah.
as I'm sitting here, I'm looking at Mark's face, I'm
What
looking at
about me?
Lauren's face, and they may be hearing some of this for the first time, and I'm watching how moved they are in the discussion. But
And I was
I've had
actually,
this discussion with you several times face to face and on the phone. So I got to know, as your brother, what are you doing to protect your energy? What are you doing
Um,
to keep yourself safe? Because remember, we talked about you can dive
sure.
in, but
Yeah.
at some point you got to keep that stuff out here, because once you start
Yeah.
internalizing that, that's when it wreaks havoc on you. And
Hey,
we can't have. I remember when you got sick. We can't have any more of that.
Coach G, if I can ask a follow up question, and maybe Lauren wants to add to this as well, because a book that I remember, and even you may remember this book as well, because it's a very famous book in Black feminism. It's called The Myth of Black Macho and Superwoman. So, to Coach G's question, because that's kind of where I was going to go, is how do you get out of that habit? Because I find many women find themselves in that superwoman role where they've got to be a little bit of everything for everybody and
Right.
everything like that. So I was just wondering, kind of to what Coach G was asking, how do you find a way to maneuver around that? Because a lot of times women in general, I'm not thinking about black, I'm thinking about women just in general, find themselves in that superwoman kind of role where they
Yep.
have to be a little bit of everybody for everything.
Well,
Yeah.
before you
Um,
answer that question, I got to throw
okay.
something else at you. No, this is in our comments. Shannon has
Mm-hmm.
been with us this whole time, but I noticed,
Oh.
because Evie, the healer of Queens here, the men are starting to show up.
Oh
And
yeah.
that Elevating Men right there is the president of Elevating Men. That is my
Oh,
boy,
okay.
A.L. Johnson. So thank you,
Well,
A.L.
welcome. Thank you.
Man, his show, the show that I'm part of, those are my band of brothers, Elevating Men, is on Monday night at the
Oh
same time,
wow.
6 o'clock. And then we replay it on Saturdays at 3. So here on Hot TV.
Well,
So
I'm
go ahead
gonna
with
have to
your
check it
answer, because
out.
now the men are
Absolutely.
listening.
Y'all was already listening. What you mean? Oh my goodness. To be honest, I have to do reluctant self-care. And I will be honest, because I know coach is looking at me like, are you gonna tell them or are you just gonna act like you telling them? Um,
Because
I
you know
am
I
gonna
bust
tell
it up.
you. I know, and you already did. There we go. So let me see. Let me finish. um, but what it has to do is really, if you're choosing this path, if I'm going to accept my calling to heal other women, I can't play it. I can't pretend it. I have to actually do the work for myself. One of the things that I did in January was I told God, this time I want to feel it all. I don't want to sugarcoat it. I don't want to pretend it. I don't want to be out here telling women, yes, you can, if I never did. I'm a
Ooh,
big advocate
Yes.
of normally, if you've ever heard me speak, one thing that I will always say is nobody listens until you make a mistake. So pay attention. I've made my share. I'm not telling you what I didn't walk. I'm not asking you to take a journey that I've never been on. I'm telling you, I'm coming alongside you because I remember how lonely it was when I did it for me.
Right. That's powerful.
Um, so for me, the biggest thing that I had to do was realize that I was literally getting sick, internalizing somebody else's roots. And when I allowed you to get planted in me, I had to figure out how to keep my soil clear.
Ooh.
And that was a huge walk for me. And when I say, and coach can attest to this, God put me down.
On
He
your
put
back.
me down on my back, like down, like hospitalized down. And I remember going to this training when I was still with the children's division, and they said, we have our own diseases. And I was like, what? Who's giving out diseases? I'm trying to save kids. Like, what are we talking about? Right. But she said, people who are in healthcare, people who are in mental health, people who are in substance abuse, people who do what we do for a living, it's not about the money. They don't pay us that great, just
No.
so you guys know. It is actually something that you had to decide. I
Yep.
had to wake up every day and decide those kids needed somebody to give a damn. I have to wake up every day now and decide that those women need somebody to tell them they are not just royal blood, but royalty. And so to do that, I have to not only check with me personally, I have certain accountability people that I can be as raw and transparent with. If I never put my stuff down, I can't help you carry yours. Right.
Yep.
So I had to get to a place where hearing that from my trainer, they were like, yeah, we have our own diseases in this field. One is fibromyalgia. I got it. One is autoimmune diseases, have it with the fibromyalgia as well, which is also autoimmune. I have rheumatoid arthritis and I have dystonia. And my cervical dystonia actually has involuntary movements. So some things, if I'm high stress, my body goes off. And um, to have all three, My doctor made a joke. He was like, "You are an overachiever in everything you do, including disease." And then I had to realize that disease is actually the dis-ease in my body. Again, I had so many roots attached to me that instead of being someone who could cover the forest, I became the forest. And so I had to unpack a lot of people's things, and I had to unpack some of somebody else's pain. Sometimes we don't realize that we're walking around feeling some kind of way because I'm still carrying the last three conversations on my back.
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying? I'm walking
Yes.
around mad at everybody, but I wasn't mad until I talked to you. I was sad and so traumatized, and I might have had an okay relationship until I started listening to you about yours. Now everything my ex does or my man does or my woman does, now all of a sudden I'm running a check by somebody that I'm not with. We
Yep.
get to a place where we have forgotten that there has to take separation for it to be connections. And I say that knowing what I'm saying, as far as yes, for us to be that are going to fix this world, we have to first acknowledge what's different about us. Because if Gary was just like me, then we're defeating the purpose of going out and reaching those people. I have a unique reasoning to do what I do. He has a unique reasoning to do what he does. Lauren has never. We all have unique reasonings to do what we do, and whether it's behind the scenes or in front, the difference is do I have to show somebody that I love you too, or am I willing to love you in private?
Mm.
Am I willing to help you straighten your crown without having to make an announcement? I find
Thank
it funny to me. Yeah, I find it funny to me on Facebook when people are like, "Here, you're hungry? Now take a picture. I fed you. I got you some shoes. I made sure you didn't have to sleep on the ground." Likes are for Facebook. I'm not here for
Yeah,
likes.
no,
Yep.
that's right. Wow.
I'm here to be honest with you. I honestly, my children and I go out most holidays and we make meals because I love to cook. It decompresses me and I hand them out because I believe you need a hot meal. To make that announcement and put it on Facebook Live defeated everything I said I was doing.
Right.
Because how much worth do you think that person feels when you got 1,000 likes off of my pain?
Wow.
Well, as your brother, I got to circle back.
Yes.
I understand that the word says too much is given, much is required.
Yes.
So, I, of all people, understand the call and the tug
Mm-hmm.
that you literally feel the souls, lost souls, tugging
Mm-hmm.
you in the middle of the night and you wake up with anguish. I know
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Um, but I think to your point that you said earlier, you made some demands on the Lord. 2024, the Lord
Mm-hmm.
made demands on me.
Yeah.
And I'm sensing that I need to make that demand on you too, because
Uh-oh.
he's saying peace, and not just peace, but rest, and not
Mm.
just rest, but Sabbath rest.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, you heard me talk about before in the Journey of a Warrior on AYPN that what it looks like, all the accomplishments I've had. It's no pat on the back for me, but just
Mm-hmm.
speak the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Pouring from an empty cup, or at best a half full cup.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm learning because much is given, much is required. I call on my life, and I'm not just called to my sphere of influence. I'm called to people, nations.
Yeah.
But that being said, I have to also learn to master Sabbath
Mm-hmm.
rest
Right.
so
Yeah.
that I can then pour from a full cup. So has Evie, the healer of queens and kings, reached the capacity where she has mastered Sabbath rest so that she can reach more than just the people in front of her, which she's doing
Yeah.
in a spirit of excellence, mind you.
Right.
But the nations I know are calling.
Oh,
Just
Jesus.
I'm
I'm not
just
telling you nothing else.
Well, while you're thinking about that and everything, and maybe I said where coach was going there, but I just had a thought, and it was based on a conversation I had, and everything. It was actually over the weekend and everything with one of my cousins. So sometimes that spirit of rest and having that peace of mind, you also have to have the peace of mind to let go, and sometimes that's part of that rest as well and everything, because sometimes you got to let go as well, because one of the things that I know that I had a conversation with my cousin, and I asked him about a daughter of his. His is his only daughter. He's got stepkids, but his only natural daughter and everything. And they've been um, estranged. That's the word I was looking for. They've been estranged. So I asked if he had been in touch with her and everything, and he basically told me that she had been his wife had reached out to her, and she basically wanted to know, why didn't you reach out to me? So they are still somewhat estranged. But I think my cousin Emmett is of the understanding that, like, she's always going to be my daughter, but we may never see eye to eye until a later time in life when we are at that
Right.
Yep.
place where we're that place where we can be comfortable with each other. Because when you
Hmm.
tell me that, I'm going like, that's kind of deep and everything. So I was going to share that with y'all and all along those lines. So but he's comfortable with being at that letting go period, at least for now. I'm not saying that he won't come
Yeah.
back to her later or she won't come back to him, but he knew that he needed to let her go because that's just where they are at this particular point in their
Right.
relationship.
I get that. I do. I think for me, God has made it mandatory at this point in my life to let things go, even if that means He's manually stripping me of things.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
But
I have to. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm hearing a
Go
word
ahead.
that you taught me though.
What's that?
You taught me this word. I'm waiting on you to say it.
I'm waiting on you to say it. Come on with it. If I taught you, you ought to be able to
Release.
repeat it.
Release.
Release. I know.
Is that what Mark was articulating so well there?
I think he was letting people go and releasing. Yes. So, what Gary is alluding to is that in AYPN and in our workshop that we do, my job is release, and I walk you through a whole um, process. I'll say process because it's continual, but a
It
whole process in that time, in that 2 days time that we do the workshop, where you are learning to release. The hard part about being the person that teaches release is that you normally leave there holding on and then have to go into your own closet and release there. Um, what I have learned in the journey of release is that I I have a tendency to hold on to the most weary, um, and give borrowed strength, if that makes any sense. At the same time, though, I'm also learning that, oh Jesus, that if God called me to save them all, He would have sent somebody else, right? And I say that because I've had to adapt in 2024 the 99-to-1 ratio. And I say that by saying that I realize that yes, I can stay with the 99 and do my job, and sometimes I'm the one he got to go get because I wander off thinking I got it. But he yanks me back and lets me know that no, it was never you. It was always me, and don't get cocky. So,
Yep.
Well,
um,
that was deep and everything.
so
Yep.
Sometimes the release can be very simple though, because if I can share
Mhm.
the reason that I saw that cousin, it was my Aunt Julie's 80th birthday party, and I think that to some degree my cousin had to let go of this notion of being in charge, kind of like what we talk about with like
Mhm.
women's roles and everything. Because
Mhm.
what Aunt Julia said, because I'm sure that in her mind, my cousin Tanya, she wanted to do a lavish party with toast and everything like that, and my Aunt Julie said, "No, I just want family, food, and
Mhm.
fellowship. That's all I
That's
want." So
it.
then
That's it.
my cousin Tanya had to go find a nice restaurant, which was a nice restaurant here in Durham, and we had about probably 40 or 50 people that were members of our family that were there to
Mhm.
honor Aunt Julie doing this 80th birthday, because her birthday was actually last week. I think it was last Wednesday, but we did this on Sunday and everything. But she wanted something very simple. She didn't want a lavish party.
Yeah.
She just wanted something that's going to be something very necessary for all of us, which is fellowship, family, and good friendship and food. Because that's what she said. She's like, "Y'all do what I want y'all to do. I want y'all to get to know each other again and everything."
Right. I think that we have to get to a place if you're going to answer the call, and you have to be called to stay in the race this long. So I think if you're going to
Yeah.
answer the call, then you have to understand that simplicity actually leads to creativity,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Like, so because of that, I have come to a place where I used to be the house, and I still have the capacity to be the house, and everybody comes over and they feel great, And I've had people that can't sleep in anybody else's house, but they can sleep in my house, or they don't relax. They always have themselves on. So I've been the house, but I have learned to reset my house for my house, right? So the people
There
that
you
have a
go.
key have access to me. Once I'm home, I'm home. It has nothing to do with not wanting to be a part of things. But I've had to learn that my yeses was getting me depressed. Because I said yes to everybody and I tried to be everywhere. And I
Yep.
remembered that I wasn't showing up there though. I was angry trying to drive over there and tired of being bothered. And I've been to six things and now you want me to come to your thing. But I had to realize that I was slipping back into my retirement. See, I'm a retired people pleaser and I didn't want to go back to that job. So I had to remember what my new job's qualifications was and make the adjustments in my job description that I could only get from God. So I had to sit down and talk with him and get myself out of the way of doing what it is that I thought he wanted me to do. See, I had to talk to my clients the other day and I said, I'm trying to understand, do you all believe in the Lord? And they were like, yeah. Now, mind you, I don't work in a Christian based situation, but he comes with me. So I figured if he's going to be there, I might as well acknowledge his
Yeah.
presence, right? So I'm sitting and I'm talking to these ladies and I'm getting all this, my faith is what I'm pulling from and drawn to and all these things. And they're saying it all. And I said, okay, so close your eyes and come walk towards me. And they're like, well, Miss Evie, you have to talk. I don't. And they were like, well, just say this. Just say, come this way, or I'm over here. And just let us kind of, Will's world find you. And I said, well, if you tell me what to say, then you're only listening for the version of my voice that you want to hear. And they was like, well, I mean, but if you just say it in the way that you say it, Miss Evie, your voice is distinctive. We'll know it's you, even if other women are talking. Right, right. So when the demons get too loud, right, and then world gets too loud, and then the kids is too loud, and then your husband had a bad day, and your wife had a bad day, and so when the world sounds like New York City on a train, how will you hear his voice if you've already decided what he's supposed to say?
Mm.
So how can I decipher the demon's voice that can replicate his sound? It says those that are called by my name will know my voice. But if I decided in my mind and put in my subconscious what your voice is supposed to say, because I only want to hear it if you're telling me what I want to hear, then I don't know if that's God that I've been following for the last 20 years.
Wow.
You see
That's
what I'm
scary.
saying? So I had to sit back and realize that the demons know the Bible too. So
Yep.
I got to have it so planted in me that my roots won't outgrow my call. And to do that, I had to decide to stop. I have to pause. My no's have to be no's, and they have to be complete sentences. I stopped trying to explain myself to people. No, it's just because I'm not feeling good, or no, I'm in a flare. I'm hurting. Because people know I'll do it hurting. I've done it. People know I'll come if they know I'm coming. That I'm a guarantee, right?
Right,
But
right.
I also think that people are having to learn that my no's mean no and my yeses
Hmm.
mean yeses. And if you really wanted me there and I couldn't be there, then did you take the time to come see about me? Or was I just coming so that you could see me?
Mm.
Yep.
You know? So that's how I'm doing it, coach. I'm
Okay.
releasing the people's expectations of me.
Okay.
Okay,
Uh,
so I gotta jump in here because I have been like stewing on this with everything that you've been saying. And I really love the imagery of tree with roots because um especially misfit style, we have so many external weeds that latch on to us throughout life, and
Hmm.
those are labels, those are expectations, those are whatever, fill in the blank. And
Hmm.
eventually when I love what you said earlier about I got to put some of my stuff down and be able to help you carry yours. And
Hmm.
I I couldn't get over that. 'Cause I'm like, okay, yeah, in order to really carry out life's work, purpose, we've got to be able to pull off and shed some of those
Yeah.
old roots that need to die anyway.
right.
Right.
And I mean, sometimes they're down there deep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes
Absolutely.
it hurts. It's going to be ugly, but you got to get that rest. You got to figure out what that looks like and which ones
Yeah.
of those you actually need to get pulled off in order to then make room for the healthy stuff that then needs to take
Right.
over there.
Absolutely. I think we have forgotten because we have been in survival mode so long
Yes.
that we think this is living, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so when you actually sit back and tell God, I want to feel it all, I want to do this all like I did, um, he let me know that I was kind of doing some things walking dead. You see what I'm saying? And I had to start living, but I had to live for the right things and see what I really needed. And I people who I thought would always be became strangers.
Yep.
People who I knew were gonna be there. In the end, like we in this together. My ride or dies, they got Ubers elsewhere. Um, and I started noticing that I was actually being isolated, and it got lonely and a little depressing, to be honest. And I started
Yep.
wondering what I could have done wrong, Lord. Why are you?
Yep.
But what I heard was, is you say you're a queen, and you have royal lineage, and yet you allow them to treat you like a court gesture in your
Yeah.
life. Um, and I don't know if you think that you're supposed to show up like those shows where the boss pretends to be somebody else, and then you come out to see how your people really treat each other, or if you had already decided what I was going to say and you were really just doing what you want. And that was a whooping I kind of needed. And
Mhm.
so when I got that, it was like, well, hold on now, let me pull back. Um, I said I'm the healer of queens, which means I ought to start with the one I know, right? So I can't offer you something I don't have or I didn't walk
Yep.
through. For a woman to walk aside alongside of me and say, "Oh yeah, girl, I ain't never been divorced, but I got you." Well, now wait a minute.
But you don't.
They don't.
Yeah.
You ain't never been divorced, right? No, no, girl, I ain't never. Well, let me find me somebody else to walk with, because that means you don't understand. And
Yep.
I know that there's a lot of people that have argued with me. Well, you don't have to go through it to understand. Yes, you do.
I said,
And the
but you
reason why
do.
I say that, you do. Some subjects absolutely require you to be a cast member, not an audience member.
Yep.
And the reason why I say that is someone who's never been divorced doesn't know what it's like to wake up and reach for somebody that's not there no more.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
doesn't know what it's like to talk about some of the things that you could only talk about that used to be pillow talk, and now it has to be real talk because I only trusted you with it, and now I have to know if I got to defend myself from it. um, there's layers to, and everybody's divorce is not messy and War of the Roses, right? But everybody's divorce is not always peaches and creamy. And we came to a conclusion. Everything's fine. We're friends. There's a lot of layers that come with that. Some people don't talk about the part of divorce where you start to feel like somebody doesn't care about you, or that you weren't lovable, or what could I have done to deserve the level you went to of hating me, or the level of mistreatment. And so I think that some instances, um, you need somebody who knows what they're talking about
Oh yeah.
to understand you and understand your pain. And I think we forget that part. And I can show you love, and I can send you love and light, and I can sit with you, but I don't want you to talk to me. I just pray with me, or let me cry. I think we've forgotten the power of silence.
Yeah. Silence is
Sometimes I just
Yes.
need somebody to sit with me. Put
Mhm.
your arm around me and just sit with me.
Right.
Because sometimes I'm not looking for a solution. I'm
Mhm.
looking for somebody who's willing to sit with me.
In that space.
Sometimes in my mess or in my space, or just maybe I
Mhm.
don't believe in this moment that I can do it. And maybe that's okay for just this moment. you know.
Hey, Evie, along those same lines, 'cause I just had a very powerful conversation. Coach G and Lauren don't even know this and everything, but it is a friend of mine, and I've been a friend with her for a number of years. And she's a divorcee, and she just recently learned, because she's a singer too, that she can't sing, but she's having some vocal problems and everything.
Mm,
And I had told her, and I've been telling her this for decades, that she actually needs to tell her story and everything. And she agrees with me that she needs to tell her story, but she's afraid of telling the story because it involves what you're talking about. It involves divorce. It involves her children, because she's got children, and grandchildren, because this friend is probably in her early to mid 50s and everything. And it also involves the feeling of hurt, because she even told me today, I know that I need to tell this story, but I also know
mm,
that this story will hurt some of the people that are involved, like these kids of mine and all along these lines. But she also knows that she needs to tell that story. And I've been encouraging her to do this for a number of years. And it sounds like she's on that verge of actually writing this story and everything. But she also is aware of the pain that it might cause, even in her own family dynamics.
So there's two things I'd say, right? One, before you can tell the story to the world, you got to acknowledge it to yourself.
Yep.
So I encourage my clients, and even myself, I do it as well. I have a laptop that I record almost like a video diary. And sometimes I go back and I be like, "Ooh, child, we made it." And sometimes I'm like, "No, girl, we still struggling. Don't worry." Um,
Good
but
idea.
I think that
Still,
I think that one, I can be conscious of the fact that it might hurt you, but the truth of the matter is, it's been hurting me, right? And if I'm willing to sacrifice me for you, then I'm still letting you win. Um, the video diary will help you be confident in saying it yourself, to whoever you need to say it to, because it's that important. So I think that until you are okay with saying it to yourself, she's right. Saying it to anybody else, when you're still more conscious about somebody else's ideas, it's not gonna work.
well, sis, wouldn't you agree? These are some pretty strong emotions and dealing with some
Mhm.
pretty major, massive traumas that typically breed darkness.
Oh
Yep.
yeah,
Darkness. Okay, so
absolutely.
now in my journey of a warrior, I've learned not to be afraid of the darkness. I've learned there's some value to darkness, and I know
Hmm.
you are an expert in talking about the darkness, in my opinion. So help us understand, because we all go through, as you're talking about, marginalized people that you're dealing with in these situations you work with, but
Hmm.
really the everyday layperson deals with similar situations, maybe not to that degree. We all have our
Hmm.
own levels of tolerance, so maybe
Right,
one can take more than the next. But trauma is trauma,
right,
and
absolutely.
it one of the things it leads you into, as we all know, is darkness. What do we
Yeah,
do when you're up in darkness?
I think that you have to. So my answer might sound a little odd, um,
Be
and
your
I'm also
authentic
studying to be
self.
a therapist. So I'm studying to be a therapist. So this would be my answer. Darkness is only gotten rid of by light, right? So it doesn't matter how dark a room is, you can light one little flicker and you've now taken away the darkness. To take the power out of the darkness, you have to be willing to be okay in it.
Yep.
Um, it's okay sometimes to have a down day and acknowledge those. I think what happens in the darkness is we start to play ourselves and pretend where it's not dark. No, I'm fine. Everything's okay. No, no, it's not dark. No, I wasn't suicidal yesterday. Everything's fine. Like, we say these things and we don't really acknowledge that. Okay, but wait, what got me to the point where I was willing to take my life? What happened? What got me to the point where I was so depressed that I didn't want to get out of my bed? What happened? If I can address what happened at the root again, then I cannot stay here, right? I won't stay here. I tell a lot of my ladies because they're always talking about relationships, because that's like a lot of big focus for the women is getting back to their mate. But a hard question that I've asked them, and ask for real honest, like you said, authentic self statements. Why is it that I will show you every part of me, but where my demons play?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Why is that okay? Why am I willing to show you the happy person, the cooker, the chef, the mother? I can show you every hat, but I keep on this Scully of where my demons play.
Mm.
And if I am not safe enough with you to show you where my demons play, I shouldn't be safe enough with you to be naked, because the core of me is where my demons play, which means I have to get to a place where I can strip back my stuff, lower my my walls, and let you into such an interpersonal place. But I'll give you my body,
You
and but I won't let you anywhere near my mind. That's crazy to me.
But along those same lines, how much do we wallow in the darkness? Because one of the things that I saw, and I know I've been guilty of it as well, but I'm going to use some family dynamics going on, because I had a relative that was going through surgery and everything, and they were there with their sibling, and I could hear that they were frustrated that that sibling did not come and reach out to them when they were in pain, even though they live in similar areas and everything. And I could hear that there were some of them possibly wallowing in the darkness. I even heard them mutter something to the effect of like, "Yeah, but you didn't come to visit me," or something like that. So how much in
Mm.
relationships do we wallow in our own darkness and everything like that?
I think when people wallow in their own darkness, they have to do one thing that's hard to admit. It's real comfortable in there.
Mhm.
It's comfortable in my darkness. Sometimes I have learned just dealing with different clients. Sometimes I'm so comfortable in my darkness that really sometimes I'm even pretending I'm dark just so you can come see about me. So some people are in their darkness, and sometimes it's not as dark as they pretend or they seem, and sometimes it's so dark. But I let it get this dark because I was trying to see if you were coming to see about me. Or I let it get this dark because I really didn't want to be saved. I'm comfortable in here. Um, I think that people forget that part, that dark is safe. I I um I say stuff on stage, and I had a client that, or a lady in the audience that walked up to me and she said, "That's the craziest way to ever say that." I said, it took me a long time to believe God. Me and the devil had worked it out. I used to tell people I was the devil's right hand man. He lied to me, I lied to him. Our relationship was fine. God is the one that wanted me to tell the truth. The light was harder. So to me, the darkness was comfortable. It was safe. I knew what to do in there.
I
Coming
know
out here was the hard part.
I know we're wrapping up because I saw that chat and everything, and it's the powerful conversation you're having
Uh,
and everything. But you said something earlier that really struck me, which I think people don't pay enough attention to, which is this notion of being authentic and having authenticity and all along those lines.
mm,
Because that's what I oftentimes found on your other appearances on this show and other shows. But sometimes people think, just like they wallow in darkness, people are sometimes uncomfortable with being authentic and listening to their authentic voice and everything. So I just
right.
wanted your take on that, because when you were talking about that authenticity and listen to that authenticity, I find that a number of times people are not willing to do that deep dive.
I think that that's really the hardest part is because when you dive deep, you have to deal with it. You can't just dive deep and be like, "Oop, I saw that. Well, I'm coming out." Like you in there now, right? Um, and that's one of the reasons why I am trying to listen to
Yeah, Shannon.
the Lord in this. And ooh, Lord, Gary, I'm gonna hit you. I'm trying to listen to the Lord on this. I know, girl,
Listen
this
to
is a
the
so long,
Lord.
right? Listen to
Lord.
the Lord. So, God has been on my heart for the last year or two, actually, and I've been running from it. And I ran out of shoes, and they don't have no soles on the bottom no more. So I'm just listening now. And the Lord talked to me about starting a podcast for women to say the things that we don't say to women. It's time for us to find a safe place to say what we can't say. You're so worried about the women that you know judging you. Well, what if you didn't have to say who you were, but give us the scenario so we can help with the answers? I don't believe that women are willing to say it hurts, or you're not willing to say that this is a horrible marriage I'm in and I'm scared, or these kids are driving me nuts. And I just wish somebody who already did this could tell me something. It's not about getting on a podcast and saying, "Who girl, I did it, so I know better." It's more so saying, "Hey man, I failed 22 times. Let me tell you how I figured it out," and being there for each other. If I'm gonna walk around on stage after stage and say that I'm the healer of queens and I only heal you for the time that I'm talking, or that I'm at work and for those 8 hours I'm doing it, and then everywhere else I'm not, then I'm misusing the call because I'm doing it for only the calls that are comfortable for me. Instead, the Lord told me I didn't mean for you to be small. I need you to bust through those ceilings. So I'm coming for the glass. I'm coming for the glass. So here we go.
The reason I was partially laughing, Evie, and once again, this is something they don't know, and I'm just going to go ahead and throw the name out there because we have actually been training her and all along those lines. But the young lady that I was talking about, her name is Nikki, and literally what you just described is what she's been trying to do. So it might be that it is a co-hosting podcast with you and her and all along those lines, because literally I've been training her on how to do a podcast, and it was literally women having conversations on women's issues and all along those lines. So I have to put her in touch with you and vice versa. And maybe that happens here on Pod TV. But I've been doing some podcast training with her for a while and all along those lines. So like I said, when you were saying that, I'm going like, I've heard this before. I've heard this from this particular friend of mine and everything. So not saying that they will, because, you know, people have to jail. They have to get together. And I don't know what the personality match will be. But just throwing it out there that I will connect the two of you, because she is also deeply spiritual as well and everything along those lines. And it might be that that is a East Coast, Midwestern kind of thing, because I know you're in that general area where Lauren and Coach G are, and it might be, and she's here in North Carolina and everything. And like I said, and like you, she is a mother of many, because like I said, she's got 4 children, and like, because when I talked to her earlier, she was actually with her grandson, but I think I've lost track. It's either 6 or 7 grandkids.
Well, I think, Evie, again, you never disappoint.
Oh, well, thank you.
You bring such a richness and authenticity to the conversations that you enter into. I knew we would run out of time and we need to wrap up, but you're in agreement that you're coming back next week.
Wherever you need me to be.
Okay, so I think some of the things that we need to chew on, and I'll summarize all of this next week when we start.
Okay.
I think some of the things we need to chew on next week is we've learned the healer of queens, but now we need to hear about the healer of kings. And then we obviously need to hear a little deeper more about the podcast. We need to hear more about the speaking engagements that you're a part of. This will be post AYPN, Activate Your Power Now weekend. So we're talking on thank you. It's that simple. So we can even dive into your discussion on that, because I know you're going to go last. So everybody's going to elevate the room just for you to come and blow the doors out. So
I do what I can.
It's the ceiling, G.
What? Okay.
I understand the assignment. I told you I got to bust through the glass. I understand my assignment.
Yeah. But one of the things I want you to chew on for yourself and our audience next week, Lauren knows where I'm going probably with this, but
yeah,
we've learned in the darkness, jewels of the journey. That's why I'm really pushing the Sabbath rest, because there's jewels along the journey that you don't even see when unless you pause in a space of Sabbath rest to see, oh my God, there's a gold nugget right there. Oh my God, there's a diamond sitting over there. The blessings that you need to be restored. Back to video games. You know, you're playing the video games and you're about to run out of life, and you just something that gives you more energy. Those are the jewels of the journey that I want you to pause this week. Look at me giving you homework.
Oh my God. Fine.
So I want you to pause and reflect and release so that you can see your jewels and then go back and pick them up.
Because we're done chewing next week, right? We're done chewing.
We're done chewing. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and get her done.
Get her done.
Get her done.
So Mark, hook her up with that. And we're going to just do part 2 next week, Misfits Managed Nation. So, I'm going to be on social media this week and really blow that up, because I want people to really understand the conversation that's coming, because this too was powerful. Says too much is given, much is required. But I know you gave this week, and I know you're going to give this weekend. So your assignment also is rest.
Oh, yeah.
I know how we are when we release and what happens aftermath. So I need you to rest.
Yep.
Okay. That's your brother's order.
That is a problem. I don't know about order, but I'll do it. Okay.
Queens don't take orders, G.
They take it.
I don't know about orders.
Okay.
I don't know about orders, but I will do it. Okay. I got it.
I can
Well,
They
think of
won't
maybe
rest.
yes,
Coach
no.
G, I know we're ending and everything, but I can think of at least two queens historically that might argue with you: Mary Antoinette or Marie Antoinette and Cleopatra, and a number of others that might argue with you there because they were a little bit in charge, from what I could tell. But I'm just saying
I
that's what
told you that's why you can't just stick with
I
Proverbs 31. You got to tell them
think
about
it's 10
all of
o'clock,
them. You
Mark.
know what I'm talking about?
Isn't it 9 o'clock? I think we're done.
Oh, I see how this is.
Now he done. Now he done. He done released. Now he done. You see what I'm talking about? That's something else.
On that note, I will actually show some queens that were releasing it. So that's it. 'Cause
One day, we won't need this day. We won't need a day to celebrate how far we've come. We won't need a day to prove we're just as fast or strong or skilled. We won't need a day to relive the comebacks, the firsts, or the titles we've won. We won't need a day to rally behind the ones fighting to change the rules. One day, we won't need this day at all, because one day, this day, will be our everyday.
I just need to be left alone right now, man. No, Cam. I think the problem is that you've been left alone way too much.
Life's hard. The world is complicated.
Remember, you are not alone.
Love you, girl. I love you too.
Mental health challenges are common, treatable, and often preventable.
It's time to talk about it.
It's time to defy the fear and stigma that has made so many suffer in silence.
Instead, dare to love yourself and others.
Dare to ask for help and support.
Dare to listen and show up for the people around you.
Join the conversation.
Hey, Misfits Managed Nation. Thank you so much for watching tonight. I so appreciate you. I know Gary and I both appreciate you. I wanted to let you know, though, that being a misfit doesn't stop here. It is a piece of you, and it is a piece that we have to live with every day. But the good news is we can make good from being a misfit, even though it is chalked up to being a bad thing. Let's talk about how to make being a misfit is good. Let us talk about being a phoenix and rising from the ashes. And I want to help you do that through Forged by Fire. That is how you can work with me. And we would do coaching, we can do consulting, we can do one-on-one or group. I also do speaking opportunities. But let's get that inner misfit shining the way you were meant to.